Mistakes happen. Sometimes several 100,000 people vote for a Republican incumbent instead of a guy who is 10% different from a Republican. Maybe they will change their minds in 2022. Our mission is simple. Cock Pack exists to give us something to do for the next couple years. Cock is the only grassroots independent group in Iowa focused on defeating Kim Reynolds. We are podcasters, gamers, unemployed musicians, parents, one of us anyway, adult sons and friends coming together.
Adult sons!
That's right.
Varying sizes.
Coming together to solicit donations. Wherever you find yourself on the political spectrum, you are welcome here. And we really do mean wherever. Neoliberals, Maoists, paleo-conservatives, Trotskyists, neo-Confederates, anarcho-capitalists, crypto-fascists, eco-fascists.
Well, that's what I am.
Regular fascists.
Sadists?
We can fix this mistake together. What's the plan? For decades, Iowa was a place known for,
Porn?
I don't know really, Slipknot?
Yeah.
Well, it was always like a good
Soybeans,
place to raise
pigs,
a family.
Pork. Yeah. Education.
Yeah, it's a good place for you know what. By that I mean methamphetamines.
It's a good place for fucking nothing.
While other states were either legalizing weed or executing thousands of first-time drug offenders, Iowa was enjoying a sort of vaguely conservative bipartisanship, like when Chet Culver signed a bill introduced by Steve King.
Oopsie.
Iowans don't embrace radicalism, but the most cruel and malicious Republicans keep winning elections. Maybe that means I actually do embrace radicalism.
Right.
I'll go back and edit that part later.
Oversight.
It's well past time to put a stop to circus-style leadership and get back to the time-honored tradition of wholesome children's puppet show-style leadership.
That's right.
Cock Pack's primary objective is to bring balance back to Iowa state government by convincing Yoda to allow Anakin Skywalker to train as a Jedi. Cock Pack will post a lot of bad stuff about Kim Reynolds. We will persuade hundreds of suburban cultural liberals to click on our Act Blue link.
That's
Hell
the key.
yes, that's
And to
doing-
click donate when they
doing
hit the link.
politics.
We will donate to whoever is the funniest candidate for governor of Iowa in 2022.
Which may or may not be just one of us.
This is really good.
Yes, those suburban liberals could have donated themselves, but the money will mean more after we've paid our own salaries with it.
For full disclosure, yes.
We will steal JPEGs off the Raygun website and pay to have them replace all of the Tulsi billboards along Interstate 80.
Are they still there?
Absolutely
Last
not.
I heard, there was still one, a couple of them up.
Absolutely not take those down. I love those. Forever.
They are
Yeah.
hilarious.
I saw one along like Highway 30 by ADM here in town. I haven't been out that way for a while, but
Yeah, no, there's
I saw it
definitely
during
one on
the
Highway
summer.
30. I don't know. I haven't been over to Cedar Rapids recently, but
that's so funny those are still up. Hell yeah.
My favorite billboards along there is the one that just says Jesus in all caps with no
Oh,
other
yeah.
information.
Yeah, dude, that one
It just
rocks.
says Jesus.
There was some stuff here in town for a while that was like vaguely about Trump being banned from Twitter. And
Jesus.
it was
Oh,
like
Jesus.
talking about like how it was just like the American flag like torn in two, and then in the vacant space there was like some kind of tagline, and there was like probably half dozen of them that would cycle through, and there was one right by my work, and it was like the First Amendment has been eroded is just all it says, and there's no like link to anything. There's no like it's just some guy who was upset. This is the only way to get it out.
There's no right to healthcare, but god damn it, there's a right to being on Twitter.
Yeah, I agree.
true that.
It's the same thing.
The results of the 2020 election may indicate that Kim Reynolds is likely to win re-election in 2022, but there are plenty of well-meaning liberals with cash to spare in this state. At the end of the day, somebody ought to gain something from all that energy, so why not us? This advertisement was paid for by Caucus, Dan Drangle, treasurer. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Also, this is not a real political action committee.
Bravo.
That might be the funniest thing we've ever done on the show.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Thank you.
Oh, I wish I was funny.
Yeah, I wish you were funny too.
Oh, man.
All right, if you don't know what you're listening to, this is Rock Hard Caucus. Recently dubbed Iowa's meanest podcast, and I think we will be earning that title today. My name is Justin. I'm here with my 3 best, smartest, funniest friends.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah, you're welcome for that compliment. I'm here with Evan and Chuck and Natalie. How is everybody doing today?
Excellent.
Good. My computer is working perfectly.
Yes.
And
No
has
technical
been the entire
difficulties.
time.
Yeah.
There will be no breaks, no perceivable breaks in the audio. No one at home will know anything happened because nothing did happen.
That's right.
Right.
If you haven't been following recent developments in Iowa's political landscape, you may not have understood what I was talking about to open the show. But today we're talking about OPE. And no, I don't mean the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries.
That's all I can think of,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah.
I mean OPE, O-P-E, PAC, P-A-C.
A thing that
No,
Midwesterners say.
you're missing the exclamation point.
Oh, you're right. I've spelled it wrong.
Jeb.
What the fuck what does OPE come? Why did we say that? Like, what is that supposed to
Yeah,
be?
so, like, I had
oops.
Conversation with Allie like a year ago, our friend Allie High, and she was talking about how Midwestern people say "ope," and I was like, I've never said that. And then as soon as we had that conversation, I noticed I say it all the time.
Yes.
It's definitely a thing. It's just like when you're surprised, I guess. It's like oops.
Yeah.
It's like oops and sorry rolled into one, I feel like.
Yeah.
But it's just strange. I didn't realize how much I said it until we started playing Rocket League together.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much you said it either.
There's a lot of opes in
There's
Rocket
a
League.
fuckload of opes, yeah. I'd like to just cut it out of my vernacular completely because it makes me feel like a dumb redneck or
Podunk.
something. Yeah, it makes me feel like a fucking
Podunk, country
podunk, yeah.
boy.
It sure tells us a lot about the motivations and goals of this pack, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's such ray gun energy
Yeah.
to be like, yeah, we're embracing this as I hate the exclamation
Electing Kim
point
Reynolds,
so
it was
much.
just like when we accidentally bump into somebody on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's that
exactly
level
like
of
that.
error. And they say that OPE, O-P-E, they say it isn't supposed to stand for anything, but I don't know about that. I've seen a couple of people either directly involved or tangentially involved referring to it as both Open People's Eyes and Operation Purple Electorate.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
And Open People's Eyes, I saw that actually on their website, so they probably had a meeting about that.
Operation Purple Electorate sounds like a Kojima thing. It's like something from Metal Gear
True.
Rising.
Yeah.
It's the party that Senator Armstrong represents.
So I had some disclaimers or demclaimers for people who claim the Democratic Party who might end up listening to this episode because we're trying to live up to the name of Iowa's Meanest Podcast here, but I just wanted you to
We're the only
understand.
podcast, too.
Yes. We don't like Kim Reynolds at all. We hate her and the Republican Party. That's kind of our thing.
Yeah.
But we don't hate her because we're progressive, because that's basically a meaningless term that just means that you don't hate any particular minority group. But
We hate her because she's a woman.
No. We hate her because we're socialists, which is the same reason that we hate the Democratic Party, or strongly dislike.
Mm-hmm.
You can edit that. If we had, less diseased country, we would have proportional representation, and we would have our own seats in, whatever government. But we don't have that, so you need us, as much as you hate to admit it. And we are still deciding if we need you.
I like how aggressive that is.
Yeah, well said.
Also, if you can't handle criticism from the left, grow up. Maybe you don't like democracy that much.
This is
that's a good
Iowa's
point.
meanest podcast.
So, I mean, I understand the political situation here. I don't like it, and I want it to change, and that's both parties.
Yeah.
And also, number 3, if you want to call us lazy commies who only criticize but don't do the work, that's kind of our brand.
Yeah,
So-
that's true. Like that's what we. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just some schmucks. We are as representative of Iowa as the people who started the OPE are. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to take us seriously if you don't want to. But I think we have some pointers for you.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying there, Evan, the political situation here and what they profess Iowa politics to be about on the opeiowa.com homepage. Like, we have this long tradition of like, oh, both sides get along. We work together to make just sensible policy decisions. And everything in Iowa was so chill prior to, 2015? But no, I mean, it wasn't great before Kim Reynolds was the governor. It wasn't great when we had Democrats for governor. Every bipartisan situation was leaning right and pushing us further towards the situation we're in now.
Yeah. No one wants the Fred Hubble campaign to run again. This was just a rich guy. You're
Sweaty
saying
Fred.
Democrats are the party of the people, but Fred Hubble was not a man of the people. He was on
He
the
came to
board
my
of like
house.
3
Yes, he
different.
is.
That's true.
I live in a bad neighborhood too.
He
so
also
he's definitely
ran
one
a
of the people.
shitload of ads with his money, and it also
Yeah.
was helped that one of his main competitors was like a fucking serial like creep. So
Yeah, and they're basically pointing to like the Branstad and the Culver eras as like these golden age of Iowa politics where everyone got along. I mean, like, this is what they want to go back to without understanding that this was a progression towards further insane right-wing politics.
They want to go back to what politics was before the internet, where people could share ideas quickly and easily.
they want to collaborate with the Republicans while like ostensibly creating a pact to just attack them from the center.
It sounds familiar. I
It
wonder
does
if
sound
anyone's
very
tried
familiar.
this. Evan, I know I think you dug a lot deeper on this than I did this week. What kind of information do you have to share with us?
I thought we were going to go through the Bleeding Heartland article.
Okay.
Well, there's just a couple points in there.
We should tell people what Bleeding Heartland is. I feel like.
We've mentioned it before, but it's...
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a super
They're our sister
liberal...
publication. If you guys don't recall.
Yeah, the text and print version of our podcast.
Yeah. They're probably like the Daily Coasts for Iowa or something like that.
Yeah.
We have called them irksome in the past.
Yeah. But anyway, one of their founders or board members wrote a big piece for them about the foundation of the OPEC, and it's a lot about like Iowa nice shit, like how Iowa isn't so nice anymore because of Kim Reynolds. Mm-hmm. And then one of the most interesting things to me is like the part about AOC, which I don't have that article rep actually.
Was this before she started the PAC?
No. This was CJ Peterson, I believe, was the...
he wrote the Bleeding Heartland piece?
He wrote the Bleeding Heartland piece.
Got it. And we're going to be, making fun of the OPEC a lot today, but I do just want to say there are 2 members of the OPEC board who are good because they follow me on Twitter. And that is, that'd be CJ Peterson and Tim Nelson. They've done the work of following me on Twitter, and therefore none of this criticism applies to them.
Yeah.
Why don't they follow me on Twitter? What the fuck?
I found it. It's to defeat Kim Reynolds, it's time to scuttle Iowa nice.
Yeah.
It talks about how they're going to be bold but fair, which I assume just means that they're going to just, regurgitate all of the exact same economic talking points as the Republicans, but they're going to put a progressive spin on it. Mm-hmm. They also go out of their way to say many voters were swayed by buzzwords like socialism and left wing, believing earnestly that their neighbor running to get them adequate broadband internet and fund schools, mental health, and infrastructure are in cahoots with the likes of AOC. I'm sure many of them are. I don't know if you noticed this, but like AOC had like the biggest rallies here from like in like Council Bluffs, the fucking socialist stronghold of Council Bluffs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this, but like AOC is more popular than like literally any politician in the state of Iowa who's like currently or has presently served or previously served.
I like what a fucking boogeyman she is to these people. That's my absolute favorite part.
Yeah, so like you're actively going out of your way to like alienate like a significant block of the electorate.
Right.
Again,
like you see this charismatic young woman that everyone loves. We're not like her.
Yeah. Hey,
she's
do you
not
guys
a part
know,
of this.
Do you guys know who won the first delegate count at the Iowa caucus?
AOC.
John Hickenlooper.
No, Bernie Sanders.
Oh, AOC's endorsed candidate for president.
Right.
Yes.
Do you know who won the second? Or, the final count?
Pete Buttigieg.
Nope. Bernie Sanders. Do you know who won the state delegate equivalent?
I don't know. Who did?
No, because who gives a fuck about that?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, Bernie's vote share did decrease from 2016 to 2020, but he still got a fucking solid 25% of the Democratic fucking party in Iowa.
He was running against 25 people this time instead of
it's
one.
understandable.
Oh yeah.
But again, like I said, that's a significant portion of the electorate here.
Yeah.
And like I said, most of the neighbors who are doing those things actually do support AOC. Like, that's ridiculous to say. He also goes out of the way to say, I've only met AOC once, by the way, and I can promise you she wouldn't recognize me on the street if she saw me again. So, like, why go out of your way to do that? Like, what is the point here?
She thinks she's fucking better than me. She wouldn't say hi to me if she saw me again.
Yeah, like they're once again just targeting like the upper middle class, suburban, GOP leaning people. They're
the mythical
afraid
swing
to
voter.
potentially alienate some of the people who are already involved in politics, who are disproportionately rich and white, at the expense of ever like increasing the electorate who turns out for Democratic elections.
I wonder if there's a case study of doing this kind of strategy and how it may have affected the vote totals at the end of the day.
Right.
Who can say?
I'm on rant mode.
Yeah, you are. You're on fire today.
Yeah, this is what I was hoping for.
Just throw in fucking cruise
like
control.
this,
Just
Evan.
listen.
Yeah, this is good, Evan.
Now I'm in riff mode. You're in rant mode and I'm in riff mode.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of like stuff about, organizing and winning elections, but it's all focused exclusively on getting rid of Kim Reynolds, which is a good short-term goal.
Yeah, that would be great.
In the long term, I think we all on this podcast don't believe that the center can hold, and that the problem isn't that the Republicans are extreme and you can paint them as such and you can do all of that, but you need to put a contrast between them.
You need to offer an alternative that will help
actual
people's
alternative
lives.
that isn't pro-business, like isn't just excessively ridiculously pro-business like the Democratic Party, while claiming to be the People's Party.
And the 2022 election is a little over a year and a half away. It doesn't seem like they're making any moves to try anything different from what they did in 2018. And, if you think about the 2018 and the 2020 elections here in Iowa, so 2018, that was a midterm. We flipped 3 of the congressional seats from red to blue. And yet, the statewide election with the governor race, Kim Reynolds she won her first election. She had just inherited that seat. But even despite, pretty big Democratic gains, we kept a Republican governor. And then in 2020, it went in the complete opposite direction. They flipped the congressional seats back to red. And if you don't do something different, like the Democrats in this state are fucked.
Yeah. You're, again, focusing on the suburbs at the expense of the rest of the state. Yeah. So there's some, I guess, stuff about COVID in here, which is obviously going to be a big campaign issue. But again, the election is the gubernatorial election is at the end of 2022.
Yeah.
So it's we're way early. We don't know who's even running for governor at this point. So I'm personally going to be waiting until there's candidates announcing for governor and then deciding which one we're going to, support based on that.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, I don't know it's literally the Iowa Lincoln Project.
I think that's the first time we've actually
it.
dropped the name Lincoln Project. That's what I was hinting at earlier. Yeah, this seems to just be the Lincoln Project again. I don't think anyone involved on the board is a pedophile like the Lincoln Project was.
No,
We'll
they're
there.
well-meaning people. I don't mean to say that they're not. I'll get in a little bit to the founder of the OPE PAC, who is Amber Gustafson, who I think is best known. She ran, well, I mean, not particularly known, but she ran against Jack Whitver in 2018, who is the current Iowa Senate Majority Leader.
Right.
She's from Ankeny, which is a very rich and very white, even more white than the makeup of the rest of the state.
Her neighborhood is the target demographic for this pack, it seems.
Absolutely. And so she got defeated. She came within 3 points of beating Jack Whitford, which is actually like incredibly impressive if you really think about it. But again, this is like in a extremely suburban area that has like probably one of like the average like house in Ankeny is like $250,000 or something.
Yeah.
Which in any other state is not that much, but in Iowa it's a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, like it is an example of the suburban shift towards Democrats. And in fact, I think after she ran, there was another woman, Heather Matson, who ran for the 37th or 38th District House Representatives and won as a Democrat in 2019, but then in 2020 she lost again.
Okay. Was that a special election?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if they're a year apart, I would imagine that was...
She came very close, but so basically, I think she was a 2-year term. She assumed office January 14th, 2019, left office.
Okay, so that was the 2018 election.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she left in 2021, this just last election. So, yeah, Ankeny has solidly Republican representatives at this point. But Amber tried, and like I said, did really well. She still has her website up, which is interesting. It's amberforiowa.com.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let's go check this out.
It's a doozy. She's definitely of the centrist ilk. I mean, I hate to say it.
She has a Martin Luther King Jr.
Right. So
quote.
the very first thing on the website is
the white woman with blue eyes.
Yeah,
Book
the talisman of the white moderate is the Martin Luther King quote. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Which, I mean, that's a good one.
She sells Halloween face masks on her website.
Right.
I just booked a consultation with her.
That's a whole nother
Monday.
Dude, these
5.
face masks are cool. I want one.
Well, this is something that multiple members of the OPE board have in common, is that they ran for Iowa legislature seats and lost.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that brought them together. So you have to wonder about the motivation.
Wow, this T-shirt
there.
sucks. That's for sale on our website.
Right. So this is also very interesting to me. Is right after the Martin Luther King quote there is a ray gun T-shirt that you can buy on her website. It's "Let this mother run this mother." It's not on Reagan's actual website. If I went and looked,
it's on sale too.
It's a custom situation.
It's a custom situation, and she did. It's part of it is $10 from each purchase will go to the Ankeny Community Schools to help provide PPE for teachers and students for the 2021 school year.
So the two sizes they're sold out of are slim small and unisex double extra large. Every other size is available. That's very strange.
That's some extremism.
Yeah, so that's a good goal. I mean, I guess, but I think also Ankeny is probably one of the best funded school districts in the, again, like I said, it's extremely rich compared to...
I'd imagine that's one of the least in need school districts for this PPE.
Right. It also says at the bottom on the T-shirt listing on her page, the phrase "Let this mother run this mother" is trademarked by Amber Gustafson and may not be reproduced or reused without express written consent.
Let this mother run this mother. Okay.
The sale of "Let this mother run this mother" shirts is a private fundraiser by Amber Gustafson with a portion of the proceeds benefiting the Ankeny School District and is not meant to imply an endorsement by any Ankeny school district.
I'm going to remember to keep saying that phrase throughout the episode.
I just want to say that's a pretty interesting thing to have like at the very top of your website. But yeah, it does go through her bio. It's got some interesting like hashtags, like hashtag keep going. It's her story, which I think is a Hillary Clinton thing.
That's one word, right? Like history becomes her story.
Yes,
yeah.
Right, correct. So she basically talks about, I think she's like a Gen X, she's like 40-something.
Yeah.
And grew up in Leon, Iowa, which is a very small farm town, like in the very southern portion of the state. And she kind of talks about her family was kind of wiped out, or not wiped out, but was severely affected by the farm downturn in the 80s, like the farm crisis.
Economically wiped out, not
economically
not
wiped
murdered.
Out. No. Absolutely not.
There's a sentence here that really bothers me, which is, but my mom instilled in me the importance of the one way out of poverty for kids like me, a college degree, something she was never able to pursue.
Yes.
Provenly effective.
That is not backed up by any data whatsoever as, like, education being the way out of poverty. It's just not true. Because you end up saddled with all this debt. And
if you're wealthy, it's a great way to... But then you don't have the problem of poverty. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Continue your generational
but it's
wealth.
It's like people are always saying that because it implies that if you just worked hard enough to get an education, you could be lifted out of poverty. When actually what lifts people out of poverty is giving them money.
Making them no longer in poverty.
Right.
It's pretty direct. There's a direct line.
Well, part of her, on her LinkedIn, she has her candidacy for the Iowa State Senate, and part of that is that she became the first person to graduate from college in her family because of the many ways our state invested in her future through programs that offered a helping hand, not a handout.
Ooh.
Which is another phrase that very much chafes against, like, a lot of people on this podcast and potentially also in the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
She went to Iowa State for a journalism degree. And then she, I guess, was an academic advisor at University of Missouri, which obviously is a huge journalism school, probably like the biggest journalism school. And then at that point, she moved to Ankeny. Now, I don't know at what point she moved to Ankeny, I guess mid-2000s?
I think it was 2004. I listened to a podcast interview she did, and I think she said 2004.
Yeah.
I want to say something real quick. I think the phrase, let this mother run this mother, kind of implies that you're just, like, handing something to this mother. Like, we're just letting this mother run this mother. I think this mother should earn it.
I agree.
Like, we shouldn't give her the ability to run this mother. I think she has to, like, prove her worth. Mm-hmm. We'll give her the opportunity to perhaps earn the right to run this mother, but I don't think we should let this mother run this mother.
Right. I'm open to it, but I'm not gonna. Yeah, we're not gonna just hand it over. Yeah, so at that point, after she left University of Missouri, she went to Ankeny and started a yoga studio, which she does talk a lot about in her tweets about how she's a small business owner.
Yes, this is a very common upper class white woman arc that we're having here, I think.
Yeah, so she went to do that, and then she said her life changed in 2012 when the shooting in Newton, Connecticut happened, which was a big one. Obviously, that was. I think conservatives were at that point the most afraid that there might actually be gun control legislation of some kind. Because I mean, like,
yes, and the fact that nothing happened after that is proof that nothing will ever happen.
Well, this is the thing, is she went and she launched what was initially a Facebook page for Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. And she's spent quite a bit of time, I guess, advocating for responsible gun ownership, which, I'm pretty soft on guns compared to maybe some lefties. I'm not a huge fan of guns, really, so I'm not, like, it doesn't bother
I think
me
they rock
that much. But like you said, Chuck, it's like, it's not, I'm sorry, but like you're not going to get much traction on that issue, unfortunately. I mean, 20 kids got, like, murdered.
Like children. Like, someone went into a fucking school full of children and opened fire, dude. Like,
yeah, and even if that happened, like, here in Iowa, they wouldn't change anything.
No. Especially not here.
No one is ever going to, drop the line there.
Yeah, absolutely not.
I have some very bad news for you. I went to her grass-fed yoga page, and under her products, she has a sleeveless tee that says Namaste every damn day with a skeleton doing yoga.
The skeleton, that's kind of cool.
Wow.
Oh, no.
And the logo is just GFY, which I really like, because it's like,
Go
fuck
yourself.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, indeed.
Go fuck yourself,
what
yoga.
A stupid fucking t-shirt, dude.
So it's a picture of a skeleton that says GFY?
No, it says Namaste all day.
Okay.
Oh, but yeah.
A skeleton that says
Did
go
you say
fuck yourself.
grass-fed
That's
yoga? Or what was that you said?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
I wonder, maybe
The cows
she hasn't
do
mentioned being a vegan, but maybe she's a vegan and, like, because she's, running the OPE, she can't admit that she's a vegan because that would like alienate, a lot of
that would play into everything Ashley Henson's been tweeting about.
Right.
The left is coming for your beef.
They're coming for your beef because the cows, they fart too much methane or whatever, and AOC is tired of them.
Well, here's the thing: is that skeleton actually looks pretty cool, but like if they didn't have the letter on it, it's just that ruins it. What are the beads supposed to be?
Those are like meditation beads.
Meditation beads?
Yeah.
Is that like a rosary? You pray on them?
Yeah, sort of.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, sounds like your vibes are up.
Yeah.
Look at the shirt that says yoga, Chuck. Do you see it?
It's like blocky.
It looks like the fucking.
Is that supposed to be like
Slasher logo?
Yeah, like Metallica? Or what the fuck is that supposed to be?
It looks like Metallica.
And then the S in Namaste is like the S in like Nazi SS. Is what it looks like.
Ooh.
I love it. I want one. I'm gonna order one right now.
Yeah, you should.
It's only $14.
Wow, really?
That's pretty good for a shirt.
I'd be losing
All of
money
these
if
are
I
only
didn't get
$14.
it.
Yeah, it says only 10 available.
Dang.
Oh, it's sold out of my size.
They cut the cost and they cut the sleeves off.
Lame.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on her LinkedIn page too. Like she talks about how everyone said she was crazy in 2018 when she decided to run for Iowa Senate, and that one of the people asked her to, to start fundraising. They asked, make a list of all the millionaires, and she's like, I've never met a millionaire. And it's like,
wow,
that's absolutely not true. You might not know people who have like $1 million in liquid assets, but you live in Ankeny. There is absolutely, people, farmer, like most farmers are like millionaires at this point.
I've met millionaires.
Yeah.
Isn't Ankeny like a big like healthcare and like real estate town?
I mean, it's a strip mall blight on the Des Moines Central Iowa community, I would say.
Des Moines' a white tumor.
Someone painted a swastika on a Joe Biden sign there.
Damn.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not.
That was
it's
me.
not. It's kind of a white, flighty kind of place. Now, I'm not saying that that's Amber's motivation for moving there, because she moved there. Ankeny is like the fastest growing community, I think, in the entire state.
Yeah.
And has basically like outgrown its infrastructure.
I know where Ankeny is. It's right. There's a disc golf course right there called Big Creek that's really good. And
yeah. So like, she definitely knows millionaires, and maybe not millionaires who like have that much money to just spare to Democratic politicians, but she also has on her page social media influencer January 2019 to present, leveraging brand awareness, created as a candidate for Iowa Senate, and I am now a leading voice in Iowa politics, known as in quotes Iowa's most influential non-elected politician. Which
what does that even mean?
I don't know. I googled it, and guess what comes up? Her LinkedIn page. No one has said that.
I think I'm going to claim that going forward, too. I'm also a very influential, non-elected politician here in Iowa.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, like, she's probably a well-meaning person. Like, I mean, she doesn't, but like, this doesn't sit well with like the opportunism aspect of the OPEC. I mean, it goes on, actually. I have continued to broaden my audience, build bridges of understanding, and motivate people to take action. Increased Twitter following 200% a year after election. Increased Facebook followers 300%.
After election?
Yes.
What good does that do you?
I don't know. Increased Facebook followers 300% in year after election. Increased email list to over 1,000 engaged supporters with an open rate of 38%. Which is 40% higher than industry standard. So
-2?
Yeah, that's what I initially thought as well. But I guess 38% is good.
Or if 38% total is 40% higher
it's
than
40%
whatever the
higher
average
than
total
whatever the
is.
average is. We could work backwards there from the math, but I'm not going to. And also, she marketed and sold over $2,500 worth of original design clothing. So I guess the sleigh t-shirts and
the Go Fuck Yourself series.
I just sent you a fantastic description in the group chat of the clothing that she sells. I love it so much. Show off your pipes, a longer cut to define your yoga body with 2 dots over yoga and body, and a vintage base you will leave everyone thunderstruck.
So it's supposed to be AC/DC then?
It's like classic rock.
That looks even less. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think a lot of this is a generational thing, because we're like Gen X people are just kind of like huge dorks.
They are.
They kind
They
of
see
honestly
something
are.
that like
Sorry.
vaguely resembles the AC/DC or Motley Crue logos. They're
Yeah.
like, shit, take my
Badass.
wallet, dude. I'm buying that
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, speaking of her Twitter, I did a little research on her Twitter. I was kind of curious to see where she kind of stood. I mean, she has a lot of good tweets, and she's posted a lot about. She's been a big advocate for mental health stuff and for the NRA, anti-NRA stuff. Hasn't posted quite as much about economic stuff, but she has to some certain extent. But she is very concerned about. She has a lot of posts about like property taxes and being a small business owner.
Okay,
Which
so
actually, what originally caught my ire about the OPEC was they made a tweet that like
Yes.
there is a budget in Iowa that passed that increased per people spending by like 2.4%, which again is probably a machination by Kim Reynolds to like say like, look, I'm not trying to kill public schools or whatever. Well, she's trying to kill public schools, but the complaint that OPEC made about it was like they were going to increase the property tax, which I mean, I think that property tax should be levied on people who are most able to pay it.
yeah, people who own $250,000 houses, for example.
Right. People who live in Ankeny in particular. But you're kind of betraying yourself by like focusing on taxes. Like you're kind of betraying yourself. Like I think most of us understand that like really, if we want good things in our communities, like taxes may have to increase for certain people who, like I said, should be most willing to pay for if we want good things to happen. Like the alternative is like austerity, which we don't want to happen. So it's like the Democrats are so allergic to it. Right.
I think some of us do.
Yeah. And I also noticed one of the other members of the PAC, C.J. Peterson, he also ran for Iowa House or Senate?
House, I believe. He was, when I was doing a bunch of research on campaign ads, his was one that I actually really liked.
Yeah, he seems like a sweet dude for sure. But part of his campaign stuff was talking about the death tax for farmers, which, like, again, I'm sure is an issue.
He referred to it that way?
Yes.
Oof.
Actually said death tax, which is like, again, a woof. Like, I understand a lot of farmers are concerned about that, and it's, a rural area or whatever, but it raises, some concerns about the type of messaging and who you're going to be messaging to. But yeah, back to Amber. I was kind of curious to see who she supported in the primaries, and she was, I'm sure you can guess.
Warren.
100%.
Yep.
So she was a Warren.
Let this mother run this mother, I say.
Yeah. Wait, does Warren have any kids? I don't even know, honestly.
Yes.
She does?
She's the one who she claimed that she was fired for getting pregnant.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
that's right.
duh.
Yeah.
Duh. I'm
Well,
yeah.
actually, she would call it let this mama run this mama.
Oh my gosh, yes, she would.
Mamas and babies,
I fucking hate Liz Warren so
Mama.
much.
This mama
Dude, my
raised her
blood
little
just fucking
ones.
boils every time I hear her name or I see her stupid face on my computer. Like she used to just be like a fly, just like kind of buzzing around, and it's like, shoo, get out of here. But now it's just like a clogged toilet or something in my fucking life.
She really kind of tanked her rep.
Yeah, and the most
Yeah, she
recent
did.
thing I remember from her was like saying like she made a thing about the hedge funds manipulation in the stock market as being practiced by random internet forums and also hedge funds, but like also like caring about the people mad at the hedge funds. Like those aren't the people who need to be regulated, to be clear.
Right. It's bad when it's just regular Reddit users.
Right.
She has tweeted about Neera Tanden too.
Oh, really? I didn't find that.
Hell yeah.
She said that Neera Tanden has sharp elbows on Twitter, and that's no reason to not confirm her, which is really funny considering the crying about Bernie tweets. But whatever.
Right. Yeah, we'll get there.
Fucking snake.
Don't cut that out, please. Don't cut that out.
It was a good punchline.
No. You remember when Susan Sarandon was campaigning for Bernie and made a bunch of people mad by saying that Elizabeth Warren, or she introduced by Bernie by saying that he was never a former Republican?
Right, yeah.
Amber took issue from that.
Oh, why?
Imagine that.
Well, she said it's a bad look for Bernie Sanders people, and then talked about Bernie's cozy relationship with the NRA, which is...
Fuck off, dude.
There is the Brady Bill thing, which basically like gun law or the ability for victims of gun violence to sue gun manufacturers, which I don't necessarily agree with that vote. But to say that Bernie is cozy with the NRA is also a little bit of a stretch, I would say.
I've said it a million times before. Anything can be true if you want it to be.
Yeah.
Just whatever you want. That's the reality. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
If you can get one other person to believe it, you've succeeded.
I may call back to this moment later in the podcast. Keep in mind.
Okay.
Yes.
Foreshadowing.
One thing, though, I did notice about Amber and CJ Peterson, I'm not sure about any others, but they both openly admit to being former Republicans. Amber said that she was a Republican up until 2008 because Sarah Palin was too crazy for her, basically. Which, I mean, we on this podcast find it very strange that anyone would ever switch parties between, especially from Republican to Democrat.
Especially like as an adult too, like as a grown person.
Yeah, it's a foreign concept to us, so I think maybe she maybe felt a little bit personally attacked for that.
Right.
Yeah, so she supported Warren. She was a precinct chair in Ankeny or wherever, and I found it interesting. She posted her vote totals for her precinct, which was Klobuchar 50, Warren 46, Buttigieg 37, Biden 31. No other viable candidates.
What a hellhole.
That is
God. Klobuchar won.
Interesting. And definitely says a lot about the area where she lives. Yeah. Zero. I mean, she didn't say like how many actual Bernie. I'm sure there were at least some Bernie people there, but
that's the final count. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is after second alignment. Mm-hmm. But Klobuchar with the most votes. It's interesting. So after the Iowa caucuses, there was the Warren-Bernie dust-up.
Yeah.
Super Tuesday, where Elizabeth Warren had zero chance of winning. By the time Joe Biden won South Carolina, it was a foregone conclusion. There was zero chance of Elizabeth Warren winning. Right. And it's still a sore point, obviously, like Chuck said.
I hate thinking about it.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. Like, really, the only conclusions you can draw is that she kept it up for her ego and the ego of her supporters, or because she was there to handicap Bernie. Yeah. And
why not both?
It's both.
It's probably both. Yeah. So that raised a lot of people on the left. We were on alert for Elizabeth Warren at that point, and some people started to say some things about snakes, and there was, a lot of that shit going on. Some people who probably went too far, but...
Yeah, I didn't love the snake thing, but, come on.
Yeah, it's random people on Twitter. Toxicity on Twitter is not limited to any one particular area of Twitter. It is the purpose of the website, many people would consider.
Imagine that's just like a giant ballroom with a bunch of naked, screaming freaks just tearing at each other's skin. Just trying to rip everyone to shreds.
Yeah. Neera Tanden, like you said, she's a headhunter. She's she collects pelts. That's what she does. But she made a big Twitter thread, which I haven't seen her do many other threads, but then she combined it all into a big thing. And it's just I will not allow toxic Bernie people I don't know to sully the work and the message of the good, decent, and hard-working Bernie people I do know. She also doesn't mention any examples. She mentions that she was bothered by Bernie people at some point, but nothing specific that I have been able to locate.
I'll search my sent tweets later and see.
Yeah, and she says Sanders needs to do more to address this. His non-response is shameful. It makes me have little to no respect for his claims of allyship to marginalized communities. It gives me no faith in his ability to organize, build coalitions, or work with existing democratic structures and communities. That's on him.
Oh, fuck off.
So, okay. That's an interesting one. I mean, Elizabeth Warren is one of the most powerful elected people, one of the most powerful people in the country.
Yeah, and planet by extension.
And she specifically actively pissed off a large segment of the country by all these centrist candidates dropped out. The one person who obviously, like I said, had no chance of winning and was at least the most ideologically similar to the one candidate left on the left who could still win. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that this is a fruitful use of your time to complain about Bernie Sanders supporters on Twitter maybe potentially going too far if you actually care about progressive politics. That's always been the disconnect for me. So,
and I don't want to talk forever about this because this is an issue that's been litigated to death, but these are likely the same people who were extremely mad that Bernie Sanders ran in 2016 past, March 1st in that primary.
Yeah.
He was doing misogyny when he did that.
He didn't drop out, yeah.
Every day he stays in the race, he's tearing Hillary Clinton down and ruining her chances in the general.
Yes.
So what the fuck was Warren doing?
Yeah, and let's just ignore, Hillary's like doing the same thing in 2008 while also
This is how the fucking
extremely
primaries
racist garbage to attack Obama with. Like posting him in the fucking robes or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, everyone whitewashes. I'm sorry, Hillary Clinton is not a good role model for, like, little girls, other than she's, like, a powerful person in a powerful place who is a woman.
Mm-hmm. Success.
You could grow up to be a lizard in a lady suit.
She's, like, the architect of, like, the Libya invasion, which is, like, awful.
Girl power,
fucking
girl boss.
war crimes.
Hashtag girl
That's some
boss.
boss queen shit.
Yeah, and now there's like a huge power vacuum there, and there's like 5 fucking imperialist countries trying to like lay their claim to the fucking oil and shit there. It's like, it's disgusting. Anyway, she was also anti-Biden, and she mentioned his like creepiness towards women.
Okay, smart, yeah.
Yeah, so she had,
Is there any like particular point in time where she may have stopped talking about that?
She did. I think she was pretty anti-Biden, I think, up until he was the nominee. But she specifically made multiple tweets about replying to one of the Krasensteins.
Nice.
Rest in peace.
God, I love those guys.
She said, I think the real question, I don't even know what the Krasen, because I can't see it because their account's suspended. But
they're gone.
she was asking how Krasenstein would feel if Biden smelled his hair and kissed the top of his crowd in a crowded backstage area, or put his hand on his thigh.
Yeah.
You know, like,
He'd probably think it was great.
I haven't heard anything about the Biden shit, like, recently. Like, that's been totally memory hold. Along with all the, like, totally ridiculous lies that Biden has told about, like, what was the one about, like, the...
South Africa.
Yeah. And, like, giving the
like,
medal
arrested,
to the...
Oh, yeah, he was in prison with Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Well, can you prove he wasn't?
I cannot. Someone has, but I cannot.
But she did come around on Bernie, I guess. She gave... The only tweet I could find praising Bernie starts with, "Not a Bernie Sanders stan."
Mistake.
But let's give credit where credit is due. Thank you, Senator Sanders and the Bernie folks, for continuing to carry this fight forward. I hope Biden similarly adopts Warren plans for corporate financial accountability and brings back CFPB. It all comes back to the plans.
I hope Bernie can convince Biden to take up all of Elizabeth Warren's policy.
Right. So that's another thing that, this is kind of neither here nor there, but it's another thing that bothers me about the Elizabeth Warren thing is, like, the plan stuff was, like, never more realistic than what Bernie is saying, which was, like, we're going to, like, organize people, and if, like, Joe Manchin doesn't want to vote for something, we're going to, like, have people show up in West Virginia to protest, and, like, it was bottom-up change.
We've talked about that a lot too.
We have talked a lot about it.
It's a difference in like perception of how power works.
So
and change
and
is
like
achieved.
As a presidential candidate, your plans are just, they turn into dust. They just burn as soon as you fucking win. Like how are Biden's plans going right now? Biden had plans, didn't he? Actually,
did he?
Not sure about that.
Well, we're reopening the schools, so that's number one.
No, actually, Biden's
we're
plan
separating. We're
is
no
already in
longer
motion.
keeping kids in cages, but we're still opening facilities for unaccompanied minors.
No. Joe Biden's mission is already complete when he won, because he restored dignity to America.
I'm proud to be
Back
an
to brunch,
American.
Like, I don't understand how you can live through the Obama years and take, oh yeah, reform is going to happen from inside the system. Our Democratic politicians are going to do it for us. Like, they're going to really
This time will be different.
help people. No, we have to force them to help people.
Yeah, and we may have to get a little undignified.
Yeah, again, she's probably a well-meaning person. It's hard to separate the opportunism.
It's hard to separate the art from the artist.
Yes. She also ran for IDP chair just this year.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
She dropped out because she needed time to focus on her family and helping her kid through school. She has a kid who has, I guess, ADHD and autism, and so she had to... So again, we're not trying to personally attack her or anything.
I am.
Damn. So she made the decision to drop out, but she posted an article on Bleeding Heartland again with her plans for how the IDP should move forward.
Okay, yeah, this one I did see.
Yes. So she had like 4 main points. The first one being that the State Central Committee of the Democratic Party needs to be actively involved, because basically there's like the executive board and like the executive staff of the Iowa Democratic Party, and then there's like the actual Central Committee, which is like elected members from different districts, and also certain like advocacy groups, like there's the Black Caucus, the Progressive Caucus, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this sounds like socialism to me, basically. She's saying that people on the lower level should have more influence over people on the higher level. I mean, that sounds like a good idea.
No, not that
honestly.
low of a level.
You still got to be a party bureaucrat.
So that sounds like a good idea. I'm in favor of that. I wish that the Iowa Democratic Party actually listened to its constituents.
Yeah,
and the Democratic Party as a whole. But then after that, we have to get our data house in order.
Consolidating data. What was that John Ossoff thing?
Oh, God.
Consolidating data centers or some shit.
I'm not sure, but I refer to this as like Nate Silverbrain, where it's like you look at data as being like a static thing, where it's like, oh, we need to reach voters where they are, without like ever concluding that like data can change and like you can influence people to change the data.
Yeah, like polling and people like
they look at polls
it's
as
like,
being
well, go change people's opinions by telling them how you're going to make their life better.
Yeah, it's a back-asswards way of looking at it.
This is immutable. I must get closer to the poll results rather than trying to influence the poll results into something good.
Yeah, and I don't even know. I mean, some of this stuff is like, this comes as no surprise to anyone who's worked with the state van/vote builder.
Mm-hmm.
IDP must hire a dedicated database guru whose full-time job is maintaining and improving our database. We need someone who knows the ins and outs of how to really make van hum, a person who understands list segmentation through activist codes, a person who can create data entry guidelines and train volunteers, a person who can help us get better at identifying our voters and registering new ones. Again, like, it's the Obama-ification. Like, Obama's campaign was like particularly known for collecting all of this data on voters.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave it to the Democratic Party, and what did they do with it? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, just
like
sat
during
on
the
it.
Obama years, they just, like I said, they didn't even like consult any of the bottom down or bottom up shit. It was just like technocracy.
Yeah, that was a huge part of his electoral success too, is how deeply they went in on that. Also, that was part of, just having a lot of people excited to volunteer and like update all this data for them by talking to people.
Yeah, that's part of it too, and that's basically what I'm trying to say is like, you have to actually attract new voters. Instead of like, their way of doing it is just saying like, oh, there's like some conservative people who live in Iowa and we need to reach them. Like what conservatives actually like is like people who are like willing to stay what they believe in a genuine, honest way. That's my impression of like the Bernie campaign, where it's like there were a lot of Republicans who were much more sympathetic to Bernie than you would ever expect compared to many other politicians, because like he didn't like talk down to them.
Too.
If you want to have a hope of like persuading them away from their evil dark path, yes, that is a much more effective route. Versus
this idea where it's like, we're going to use data to identify people, and then we're just going to like try to like use catnip to we're going to say we like low taxes too. We've noticed that you like low taxes. We also like low taxes.
Yeah. If we hire the smartest computer professional to look at these numbers, we will then crack the code.
Yes. And then the next part is fixing social media, which basically she's saying that like Democratic social media should not be about just reposting ads and posting memes and like trying to like worm your way in through popular culture, which is, pretty good point. But
I agree, but what is OPE exactly?
Right.
What's different about OPE?
Yeah, I don't know really. The Democratic brand is not, I promise the Democrats that like the brand is not it is the problem, but it's not just because of social media. It's because of like what you're pushing, which has been just like conservatism watered over with a bunch of, inclusion efforts.
Rainbow bumper stickers.
Yeah. It's not like how you're presenting yourselves, it's what you're saying. That's the actual issue that like is preventing Democrats from fucking winning. And like, I just don't understand, like, there's been so many embarrassing losses and it's still the same fucking strategy. The strategy never changes. It's still, like I said, it's slapping a new coat of paint on the same old Democratic politics.
Yeah. Well said.
And then the last one, which is also good, is addressing the Nate in the room, referring to Nate Bolton, who I think I mentioned earlier. He like got promoted, right? Like, he ran for governor. He was Iowa State senator. He ran for governor
in the primary.
Had like 3 or 4 different women come out against him, saying that he had made them extremely uncomfortable.
He was rubbing his crotch against women at a bar without their being into it. Yeah, and like I said, multiple people, and I think
I'm looking at a picture of this guy.
Some Democrats, some Republicans. So he's still in the Senate, and I think he's like on like one of the leadership groups, or
they made him some kind of officer. I forget what it was
chair
exactly.
of one of the committees or something.
Yeah.
So she's basically saying that we Democrats need to be more aggressive about making the party more inclusive and getting rid of people who are going to like turn off potential voters.
Anyone who has any sort of sense of morality.
Yeah. And that's a very good point for sure. Because it looks terrible, and that's still a thing. Like it gets brought up frequently. Like it's always, there's been a bunch of, I think Bleeding Heartland has posted a bunch of stuff about like asking for Bolton to resign. Yeah. So anyway,
that's one of those things that goes back to, wanting the Iowa Democratic Party to listen to its constituents and like in any way like respond to what the people are calling for. But it's never been touched really by like anyone who has any official role in the party, anything about Bolton.
Yeah, which is extremely disappointing. So, and then she's basically saying that like the state central committee made a committee to change their like sort of like sexual harassment policy, or I think just in general like discrimination policy. But she's saying that shouldn't be a like procedural thing. It should be something that's like a fabric of the Democratic Party, which that's good.
Yeah.
But our main issue is like, we need to make a positive case for progressive socialist values. Like,
boo. That's scary to me.
Yeah, so I listened to a podcast interview that Amber Gustafson did, sort of explaining where this pat came from. I didn't cut any audio from this, but I did write down a bunch of quotes. So this is a podcast called The Daily Dome.
Hell yes.
How you guys feel about that? You guys getting
oh,
Daily
yeah, like
Dome?
oral sex, yeah. Yeah, good one.
Like when someone puts their mouth on someone else's penis.
On your pee-pee.
Yeah.
Is it called dome when a woman receives it as well, or is that only...
I've never heard it that way, but I'm sure it does.
Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, head is both, so...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is probably not a good time to bring this up, but I just scrolled down on the article that she wrote with the Nate Bolton thing, and there's a guy in the comments, Dale Allison, who's saying, it seems like we are shooting ourselves in the foot if we discard otherwise talented people if they committed any transgressions.
Yeah, this is the people who are mad that Al Franken resigned.
Yeah, they're people who are mad about like Al Franken shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they like went after Al Franken unnecessarily because of his like creepy shit.
Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, maybe if you're going to be the party that like portrays itself that way, that like you should have a zero tolerance policy for that sort of thing. But
correct. Yeah. Keep your own house in order, I suppose.
Well, Joe Biden's the president now, so that's all gone. All right, so the Daily Dome, it's wishful thinking. I think a lot of us would love Daily Dome, but it's not really realistic. So this is a podcast by... I forget the name of the guy, but he does follow us on Twitter. So once again, this is someone who's doing the work. This is a good person. I have no criticisms of them.
We'll do a retraction if OPE follows us.
What is the name supposed to mean? Are you talking like the dome of like the Capitol, or
yes.
Okay,
it's like the Golden Dome.
A podcast about like what's going on in the state legislature, the state government.
Okay, yeah.
It's your Daily Dome update. What's going on in the dome? So the episode starts off, he's talking about all of the Well, the recent thing is like Republicans are trying to limit early voting. So my first impression of this podcast and this guy and what the show is all about is him saying there may be some benefits to tightening up the mail-in voting system, but
God.
So you gotta hand it to him a little bit, There is some mail-in voting security flaws. We should listen to them. No, it's voter suppression, plain and simple. You don't need to fucking capitulate on any of this.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So he's off on the wrong foot, in my view. All right, then he talks to Amber, and she tells us that the idea for the OPE PAC came from a Twitter group DM. So all these people, they were just in a group chat, and they decided, hey, we should start up a fundraising group that we will personally benefit from in no way whatsoever. It's all about getting rid of Kim Reynolds.
It just feels so opportunistic because it's like, Kim Reynolds, like her approval rating has gone down a lot. Like all of the COVID shit, like it seems plausible that she could actually lose, depending on who the candidate actually is.
Yes.
So like
you would hope that she's weakened by this. Yeah.
Yeah. This just feels like they sense like blood in the water and they're like trying to use it to like move forward their careers. Quite honestly, that's what it seems like.
Yeah. The idea for this PAC specifically was inspired by similar groups, such as the PAC to fund Susan Collins' opponent. That went well, right? That succeeded. Also, the Get Mitch or Die Trying PAC started by the Pod Save America guys.
Oh, God.
How'd that go?
Oh, my God.
That succeeded, right?
Oh, my God. I was also very reminded of Amy Graft. Like, I know they're trying to raise... OPAC is trying to raise money from, like, specifically Iowans, and they have, like, a map on their website of, like, where their donations are coming from. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't be surprised if they start, like, actively soliciting, like, out-of-state donations as well.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, obviously. I mean, that's where the money is. Like,
yeah, and Amber Gustafson also was a big Teresa Greenfield supporter in her primary, and that was her whole tactic as well, was just, suck up donations from all across the country. Mm-hmm. And the third group they mentioned is the Stacey Abrams PAC, another success story. Those are the only things she brings up, inspired by three groups that failed in their, explicit goal, but I'm sure somebody may have benefited in some way. So it's maybe more revealing than she thinks. A quote during this segment is, "Why not? What do we have to lose?"
An election? Many elections? Money?
Not her money. She indicates that this group will be donating to whoever wins the primary. And the host later asks her how they plan to prevent their PAC from influencing that primary, because they're starting this up so ahead of time.
Right.
And she evidence in favor of them not wanting to do that, I guess. She cites that all the founders of the PAC supported different primary candidates for the Senate race. And direct quote from her, "Hey, we do not in any way want to tip the scales. We do not want to be a part of the nominating process. We want to be a third rail."
What?
That's not what third rail means. She wants to be just a totally separate thing from...
I just don't understand why this needs to exist.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of her not using phrases that do not make any sense, she says, "There are so many unforced errors that come out of Republican policy." I don't think they're unforced errors.
What does
I
that
think
mean?
They are intentional results.
Feature, not bug.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
They're good at their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, Kim Reynolds has a pretty fucking clear agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not an accident. There's a lot of opportunity to be mean in politics, right? But we can also point things out in a way that's very Midwestern and very, I don't know, just kind of engaging, I guess, in a sense in that we're not asking anyone who supports us to swallow the entire Democratic policy platform hook, line, and sinker. What we're saying is, oops, we veered off from Iowa values here.
God.
And this is an opportunity for us to get back on track, which is something we can all agree on.
So, yeah, you're literally saying that, like, we need to, like, water down progressive shit. Because
we're not pushing to achieve any sort of policy
There's no
goals.
point of any of this. It's to defeat. The point is to defeat Republicans. That's it.
Yeah,
that's all there is.
Not to replace them with anything specific, but simply to replace them.
That's what's so like. I mean, Iowa's like this. Like this is a Lincoln Project for Iowa because Iowa is a fucking red state right now. But like. It bothers me so much to see the Biden stuff where it's like the Democrats have been an opposition party for the last 4 years And like once they get into power, they control the fucking House, the Senate, and the presidency. Then it's like they're still an opposition party. It's all about what the Republicans are not letting them do.
Yeah.
Well, and the Senate parliamentarian, a thing that we
Right.
just learned what it was this week.
Fuck them. That's offensive. Just fucking raise the minimum wage. You understand how much that would help your chances?
That's offensive.
They don't want to win.
Yeah, that
That's
is
the thing.
offensive.
That's offensive.
It's offensive to anyone who actually has progressive politics. Like, why are you punting on the important stuff? Like, you don't have any actual fucking, I don't know, man. You can't convince me that, like, Biden or Kamala Harris have any, like, non-negotiable principles.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the Senate parliamentarian was appointed by Harry Reid in 2012. So she's been in that position through, terrible Senates. And as far as I know, this is the first time she's ever made the news for rejecting a proposal. Yeah.
Well, and the last time there was, I can't remember what presidency, it might have been Bush, but they just like fired the parliamentarian when they disagreed with them, which the Democrats are perfectly capable of doing, which they don't even need to do that. They can just
ignore
Kamala
it.
Harris can just overrule her.
Yeah. This isn't somebody that any of us voted for.
And what's the downside? Republicans say, oh, you didn't play fair? I'm sorry, the bold but fair shit is like implies it's not that bold.
Never say bold but. Whatever
Yes.
comes next is going to negate the bold part.
We want people who are actually like living, breathing people who have like blood flowing through their fucking bodies. Like, not this shit.
Specifically saying like, look, everybody's being mean all the time. We're not going to be mean. Listen, you could learn a thing or two from us. I think Iowa's Meanest podcast. Being mean gets results.
Yeah, and it's not even, it's being mean to like fucking rich assholes who fucking don't pay taxes and then reap all the benefits from society and from the workers they employ. Like, you can be mean to them. It's good. You should be mean to them. They're fucking evil.
Dude, I love this Evan so much.
And our brand of meanness comes from observing and acknowledging reality and responding to it honestly.
That's right.
And giving a fuck about our fellow human beings.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say about the Bernie bro thing, where it's like you're just like discounting people's anger at a system that doesn't work for them. And like you're just pissing in the face of people who like actually like tried to materially change the way this politics works in this country versus all the candidates who did not do that. We're not promising anything radical.
And like the whole reason that this pack can receive any attention is because there are a lot of people who are angry about the way Kim Reynolds is letting or encouraging us to be killed by a virus specifically, and all of, her party flushing our state down the toilet. There's anger there because you should be angry about it. And it's extremely foolish to like reject that anger in favor of like, oh, we made a clever joke about how she's just like Taco Bell or whatever. Like, no, you should be fucking mad.
Yeah, we're not just angry at Kim Reynolds. We're angry at the whole fucking system. And that includes Democrats. Many of them. Most of them.
Yeah. You should harness that anger. If you want to actually like achieve anything, the anger is powerful. That's how you win people over. I've never felt any sort of passion for any kind of electoral campaign unless I'm getting angry thinking about it,
It's a powerful motivator.
Especially in politics. Like, nothing else should motivate you politically.
Yeah.
The host of the Daily Dome asks Amber what the group is planning to do with the money that they're raising. I think they raised around $10,000 in the first 3 days that it existed. Amber says, the Matrix is constantly changing.
Ooh, the Matrix.
Good answer.
Again, what does that mean? That word doesn't make sense.
The Matrix is like, well, I mean, I'm talking about the movies, but yeah, that's like the abstract reality that's like not the real reality.
Right. Basically, what she intends to say there is that their goals are like growing and changing as more money comes in. For example, the expenses for graphic design, they can cover that with some of the money coming in. That's important.
Again, that's not the problem. The problem isn't the graphic design. It's not the brand. It's not the memes. It's the fucking message.
Right now, we want to stay very flexible and very nimble, which is a good way of not answering the question. The vast majority of what we raise is going to go directly to the candidate. the vast majority, so not all. I'm not taking a salary, so Amber is not taking any money off this. That's good. We're going to figure out what pay looks like for staff. Some people are getting paid, but not her. She's just, flexing her influencer skills here. This isn't about personal gain. The host asks why somebody should donate to OPE rather than donating directly to a candidate.
Yeah,
which was my first question. Simply, the answer is because there isn't a candidate yet.
Okay.
But it's very, quote, satisfying to start contributing now to the cause, and it helps build a sense of unity.
Does it?
You should donate to OPE because you want to feel good.
I still don't understand what is this for? Like, what are you fucking doing?
Well, if you donate money to OPE, it might make you feel good. You'll feel a sense of unity.
Yeah, you're doing something to get rid of Kim Reynolds.
I mean, there's clearly nothing you can do right now to defeat Kim Reynolds, but if you give OPE money, that's like you're making a deposit on something that you could do later.
You're investing in victory.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something to feel
I'm
good
into
about.
it now.
Mm-hmm.
I love investing.
Victory bonds.
Yes, that's right.
Freedom dividends.
Yeah.
The fucking freedom dividend.
The host asks Amber about the use of language like, quote, Iowans don't embrace extremism on the website, which I was parodying at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Amber says that the recent extremism among Iowa politics is bananas. It's just fucking crazy,
What extremism? Like the Republican extremism for sure, but like obviously like we've gone through their shit. Like they're explicitly like throwing water on the left as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not about calling out one specific brand of extremism. It's saying like this stuff here in the middle, this is what's good and acceptable.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter that, left extremism has no power at all and isn't actually affecting anything in Iowa other than like mutual aid groups. But I also think that's bad.
The center to me is like basic social democracy. Like globally, that's like as far as like developed countries, like social democracy, healthcare. Like I don't think it's fair to call Democrats a center left party until they actually adopt like universal healthcare. Until then, they are a fucking explicitly right wing project in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Like you find me another political party that in the entire world that considers itself left-wing that doesn't support universal health care.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if such one exists. Maybe they do.
No group that has any power, that's for sure.
Yeah. This is where Amber starts, calling back to the good old days of sensible Iowa politics. She goes into how she grew up in Iowa, lived in Missouri for a while, which we already covered, and then moved back to Iowa with her husband in 2004. And here she notes specifically that she and her husband were Republicans at the time. 2004.
After the Iraq War.
Good, sensible time to be a Republican.
That's right. Yes.
George W. Bush is reelected, stealing elections through Ohio voting fraud.
Yeah. Perpetrating like one of the greatest crimes of the fucking... Well, I mean, I would say the greatest crime of the 21st century so far.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Here's a quote from her. When I was a Republican, I trusted there to be balance built into the government. I knew and understood that the two-party system that we had in place was what it took to get good governance in our state, and that has always historically been the case. Bzzz, wrong. You were a Republican because you were dumb. You were wrong to be a Republican. Everything you believed back then was incorrect. Why did you stop being a Republican? Take the next step. Change your mind about all that shit you thought. It was wrong.
That's a tough ask there.
It is.
Bucko.
It is. But maybe the next few years will be so horrible that people may have to rethink some of their intrinsic beliefs. She talks about how Republicans recently have been propagating the big lie because they're declining to acknowledge that Joe Biden won a fair and free election. But this is, talked about as if it's some brand new extremist development.
Yeah.
As if the previous Democratic president didn't have it way worse in that regard.
Right. And it's like, I don't know, the stuff about like conspiracy, it's like, that's like a symptom of people not having like actual political representation of their, like, it's a symptom of how diseased our politics are, where people, they look and see what like the official real politics are according to like what they see on TV, and they say, I don't like this shit. And then they spin tales to counteract whatever they don't like about what they're seeing.
Right, yeah. And propagating the big lie, of course, that's a term for when you repeat something that isn't true over and over again until it is accepted as truth, which we referred to earlier. If you just say something is true over and over, hey, it's true. Extremely actually common in politics. For example, Joe Biden's entire campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's my favorite quote of the entire interview. As a person who really admired John McCain when he corrected the woman who tried to call Barack Obama a Muslim, that's what we need from our leaders from both parties, is being willing to step up and speak the truth even to their own supporters when a lie is a lie. Oh, defending Obama from the charge of being a Muslim, because being a Muslim is bad. I so admire John McCain saying, Obama's not a Muslim, he's nice.
That's just an incredible example of courage and bravery. Like, come on, like, I just don't understand. And like, it is like a generational thing.
I don't know how you continue buying into this civility politics when it's clearly losing constantly.
Because they have goldfish brain. They have fucking goldfish brain is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, and they agree with the Republicans more than they disagree with them, which is like the main thing. They, as much as the parts that they disagree with the Republicans are the like explicit racism, obviously.
However,
like,
that John McCain example, that John McCain example is explicitly racist and Islamophobic.
Not even a good example.
Like, no, Barack Obama is not a Muslim, and also there's nothing wrong with being one.
Right.
Like, for fuck's sake. He specifically said, no, he's not a Muslim. He's a good family man or something like that. As if, like, those aren't mutually exclusive things. You can be a good person. Being a Muslim is not bad. You can be one. And also the host acknowledges that Trump's politics were incredibly popular in Iowa. And he calls us, I don't remember if he calls Iowa a hyper-white state, but he calls that kind of politics hyper-white. And I think he may be overstating it a little bit. I mean, Trump did well here in the elections, but it wasn't like a fucking 40-point landslide or anything. Like, it was still within 10 points, if I remember correctly. And Iowa is, I believe, 90% white, but I don't know about hyper white. I mean, there are people in the state who are not white, and we should. Well, and
I think the white vote shifted towards the Democrats versus like 2016. I think. Right. I'm not sure about here, but nationally, I don't remember. For sure.
Yeah. The whiteness is not necessarily everything to do with Trump's success.
It didn't hurt. That's
certainly
for sure.
A contributing factor, yeah.
Yeah, the Democrats definitely don't embody whiteness at all.
Yeah, but I guess the reason I noted this part is if you're really going to push that angle there, I mean, the case against you're not going to be able to. It's sort of like a foregone conclusion. If our state's demographics mean someone like Trump's going to win every single time, this is all a pointless gesture. Why fucking bother?
Well, I would kind of posit the same question.
I guess, there was a shift, obviously, because Iowa voted for Obama twice and then voted for Trump twice.
Yeah.
It's not that everyone in the state became racist suddenly.
Right. It's because both of those candidates offered a kind of change from the establishment politics. Mm-hmm. They presented at least a change from the establishment politics, even if they didn't actually stray from them all that far.
Yeah.
But that's why they won. I don't understand how you can't acknowledge that at this point.
Right. It's about energizing a certain segment of the population to vote.
Wink, wink.
These people are way too comfortable, I think, is the main point of our whole episode.
Yeah.
And we're just basically throwing a tantrum that we can't see things changing for the good anytime soon.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm not pinning my hopes on Rob Sand. He's a fucking dork. He's well, actually, I seem to have pissed off both the far left and the far right.
He's absolutely the OPE candidate, yeah.
I call myself a law and order Democrat, but also I said that cops are bad sometimes.
Why have I never heard this fantastic voice before?
I have to cut all this because he follows me on Twitter. So.
Oh, Rob? He follows everyone. I don't follow him, but
don't cut it. It's
Natalie,
so
it's a
good.
running joke, okay? It's a running bit that everyone who follows me on Twitter is good, and I can't criticize them on the podcast.
Yeah.
No, it's a running bit, but please leave the voice in. You can bleep who it is.
No, I'm not bleeping shit. Rob Sand, if you're listening to this, you can...
Yeah, Rob Sand,
Yeah,
I'm
you know what
sorry,
else you could do?
is like one of the least genuine politicians I've
How
seen.
about
I hate to
you
say
go-
it, but
And I mean it.
Rob Sand, yeah, you better keep listening. Get on our Patreon, or I'm gonna...
we'll stop calling you a careerist if you pay us
Yeah.
enough money.
Yeah, so I don't really trust this group to not exert any influence over the primary process. I already have seen one of the board members posting in a Rob Sand for Governor Facebook group promoting the OPE
Yeah.
PAC.
Also,
So-
it's like, do we really need more anti-Kim Reynolds ads? There's going to be so many of them anyway. It's like, we're just saying, like, make a positive case for fucking why you should vote for Democrats. And, like, broaden your messaging. Like, just stop focusing on the fucking suburbanites, man.
I wouldn't
Like,
count on that
you're
ever
gonna
happening.
focus on. I know. Like I said, this whole episode is just a tantrum
a lot
about
of
how.
wishful thinking from you today.
Well, I mean, I know what I want. It's just like
It's just
Yeah.
good.
I don't know.
Yeah. Have we said all we need to say about them, like, seriously? Because I have one more thing for us to do, but it's a little more playful.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think an hour and a half of OPE PAC is enough.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You can cut out like half the middle section.
Basically, they're the Iowa Lincoln Project, and they will be just as effective as every PAC that they claim to be their inspiration.
They will also soon be run by pedophiles. Let the grooming begin.
All right, so I mentioned that they claim that OPE is not supposed to be an acronym for anything. Again, I've seen Open People's Eyes on their very own homepage. I've seen Operation Purple Electorate in some Facebook comments. I thought of some acronyms of my own.
Okay.
If you guys want to maybe like think of some of your own off the cuff, you can do that
Sure,
as well.
yeah. I'll see what I
why
can
didn't
do.
you tell us about this in advance? I'm not good at making jokes. off
Sorry,
the cuff.
I did it like right before we started recording.
Other people's extremism and not
Nice.
ours. OP. Are you down with OPE?
Oh, no.
I've got ostensible political engagement,
Okay. Not bad.
obvious pain exploitation, only profiting ethically,
Now you're speaking my language.
obtain paper energetically. Our posts, edgy.
But fair. Edgy but fair.
And then my closer is openly pissing everywhere.
Ugh.
What about like orangutan penis epiphany?
Okay.
That's
I'm not
fine.
sure. Yeah.
Over the counter penis enlargement.
I have more, but I probably shouldn't say. Like I'm thinking of some good ones, but this is not the venue.
Orgasming pay pig ecstasy.
Yeah, I guess that's probably just don't give money to these people. Like, give money to like mutual aid groups. Like Des Moines Mutual Aid is great.
Yes.
There's like I don't know about Cedar Rapids so much. I know there's like obviously like, the Freedom Riders and the ASJ.
Yeah, advocates for social justice. I mean, they've done like good, like giving kids school supplies, stuff like that. They've been doing the mutual aid stuff too.
Or give money to us.
Yeah, give money to us.
Yeah, or just give money to the candidate. I mean, I don't know. I guess
If that's your prerogative, yeah, I mean, just wait. Also, like, I mean, if you're donating to this PAC, you're explicitly not engaging your money in the primary. And, like, if you're really this invested, you should care who the Democratic candidate is, and you should influence that process as well.
DM Stacey Walker until he runs.
Convince him to, yeah.
Hell yeah.
And while you're DMing him, tell him to come on our show, too, because I'm too nervous to ask him.
Oh God, I don't
Oh
know
my
if he
God.
wants to tarnish his brand
That's
with us,
career suicide.
but we will support him in the trenches.
Yes.
If it
It'd
comes
be a good
to it.
business decision to not associate with us.
I mean, shit. That video that he put out this week, I mean, that
It's
might
really
be
good,
career
yeah.
suicide, you know, because he's being too real.
Yeah, that's why we like him.
Yeah.
I also went to elementary school with him, so that That helps. I think I mentioned it. I don't know if I mentioned it in the podcast, but I was like editing through a bunch of old home videos for like my mom's birthday as like a present. And there's like old school plays from Grantwood Elementary in Cedar Rapids where I went, and like Stacy Walker is there.
Yeah.
Like it was like he was a fifth grade. He was like a couple years ahead of me. And so he had like a bigger role in the play, but he was like there. I think he was like a principal of a school or something, but he was like wearing a suit. And I was like, damn, dude, that's like foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, something I want to say, before the gubernatorial primary even begins, there's definitely going to be better uses for your energy and money. Like, I imagine this summer is going to be pretty hot in terms of like direct action and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
I don't think you should be donating to Democrats, possibly ever, but definitely not like right now.
Yeah.
So,
and again, like,
you must starve them.
Democrats already hate Kim Reynolds, like most people, and I would say in this state, I don't want to say most people, but like, you don't need a PAC to like talk to people about how bad Kim Reynolds is.
No, you only need a podcast.
Right.
You could do this for free.
We've never done like a full Kim Reynolds episode. That might be interesting.
We could certainly do that.
Well, I guess we have time until the next election.
Yeah, and that could perhaps be more effective than this pack. All right, I think we should shut it down. Thank you guys for riffing on OPE with me today. Thanks, Evan, for
rambling
digging deep
on OPE.
OPE.
Getting high on that opium.
Pronounce the
Opium, pleasure, enterprise. That could be it also.
Yeah, there you go.
Tweet at us your good OPE.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be a game for all of us to play. What does OPE stand for?
And donate to Cockpack.
Yeah,
most importantly.
Go to rockhardcock.us/pack and
Chuck's our lawyer. He's getting all the paperwork together.
Listen, it's going to look like it's Patreon, but if you go on patreon.com and look up Rock Caucus, you can donate to Cockback there.
And we'll use it for good things.
Mm-hmm. We'll be putting your money to use in stopping the bad things and starting up some new good things.
Like getting me season tickets to the Colonels this year.
All right, this has been Rock Hard Caucus. Thank you for listening, and thank you for existing.
Bye-bye.